We have been in Afghanistan, of course, since right after 9/11, and the mission has changed. Initially, it was about going after al-Qaeda, dislodging them, punishing the Taliban, which we did in the course of a few months with a very, very small presence. Now we're trying to build a functioning nation state there, and I think that's the breakpoint. When Americans thought the purpose of the mission was to prevent al-Qaeda from carrying out another 9/11 style attack, they supported it. But now they've seen it transform itself into a nation-building mission, and most Americans now don't support it.
But now I hear we're gutting the military. Washington Post blog headline reads, Obama cuts defense to the bone and then some. They're supposedly cutting $500 billion.
Right. And we've grown the military budget so much over the last 15 years that this does not represent a gutting of the military budget. In fact, even if the most draconian cuts, that is the cuts under sequestration, this is the Budget Control Act's deal to cut budgets.
This was the failure of the super committee. Right. Automatic cuts, it's terrible, it's going to destroy our military.
Takes us back to 2007 level. 2007, John, that wasn't exactly a lean year for the Pentagon, and continues to grow.
And we do have one graph of the future of military spending. This line shows projected military spending if nothing was done, and this line shows military spending after Obama's changes, and both are still going up. So why is there all this talk about cuts, cutting defense to the bone and then some in the Washington Post of all places?
Because in Washington, John, the people's money is the government's money until the government decides to let you keep it.
But it's going up.
They always assume that spending is going up. Those of us not in Washington don't assume that. We don't even assume inflation adjustments, which again in Washington is just sacrosanct. These kinds of reductions are absolutely responsible if we make the kinds of strategic changes that I think the Obama administration is moving in the right direction. They didn't go nearly far enough, frankly, but we're...
strategic changes, reevaluate the military's mission to focus on what?
Focus on keeping America safe and secure, our core interest.
And if America did that according to Cato's plan, we would spend, instead of $700 billion on defense, we would spend about
400 billion, roughly, 450 billion.
$250 billion we could use as we go broke. Thank you, Chris Preble. Coming up, while I sit safely behind this desk, my longtime colleague Geraldo risks his life to cover our wars. Lots of them. He's been embedded with the troops and says that was a smart move by our military because it makes reporters feel like they're part of the team. But is that a good thing? We'll debate that next. But first, before that, today's soldiers have a very different experience than soldiers in Vietnam and World War II had. They spend more days in combat. And this general says the result is not good. She'll explain why.